Oh, hello, Ramen Zero for the win here, and I was just making a list of all my favorite things. Let's see what I got so far. The game box. It's the first thing you see when you buy a game. Now, I don't know what it is about these rectangular pieces of plastic, but I love them. Whether it's the box art, the overall feel of them, or the fact that inside every one of them is a pile of warnings. Seriously, not even a saw blade factory would have this many warnings in them. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, I love these things. There's just something so satisfying with collecting a ton of them and displaying them on a shelf all nice and neatly. You can look at them every once in a while and you're like, man, I have no life. But they weren't always like this. Back in the 80s, game boxes were just cardboard boxes that were meant to be thrown away. They were just something to hold the cartridge in until you got home so you could play the game. It wasn't until the Philips CDI came around, looked at game boxes and said, oh crap, this ain't gonna work. And thus we got a plastic game box, which was just a generic CD case. We didn't get a game case like we know today until the Sega CD. Now, Sega, they've been making plastic cases since the Master System, but I believe plastic cases really caught on by the time of the Sega CD. Now, you're probably thinking it's just a normal DVD case, nothing special about it, but hey, does your DVD case have Earthworm Jim on it? I rest my case. Anyways, after the Sega CD was created and games were being put on CDs, the plastic DVD case, or both CD and DVD if your PlayStation can't make up your freaking mind, became the norm for every game company. Except for Nintendo, who took a whole generation to catch up, and when they did... Oh, there it is! Yeah, I don't know who Nintendo thought to make the disc the same size as pizza bagels, but, good for them. Anyways, after game boxes were released, collecting games became a lot more common, and people nowadays have shelves filled to the brim with game boxes. Now, while I have nowhere near as many as others, I'm proud of the amount of games I've collected. Now, this is not all the games I own since I live with a family and I can't hoard all the games to myself, but this is a majority of the games I would fight someone to the death over.
Aw, sweet. Lego Batman for the DS.
That's mine! Oh, my spleen! Oh! Ugh! Someone call an ambulance! Now, while game boxes have been a joy to collect over the years, there's been an evil being in the gaming world that's been plaguing collections everywhere. The internet. Ever since the internet came around, every company has thrown their hat into the ring with the digital market. Now, at first it wasn't too bad. You had some small online exclusives, with the majority of games being sold digitally and physically. But now a lot of really big titles are only being sold digitally, or only getting a small supply of hard copies by a third party. And that sucks, since there's a ton of great games I've bought that I would love to display in my collection, but I could only get them digitally. Now, I know a lot of people don't feel this way, since making games digital is nothing but good. It's more convenient, it saves resources, I don't have to look at another generic Call of Duty box art again. But I feel the more people cling on to digital, the less game developers care about the game boxes themselves. To show what I mean, let's go back to the early 2000s for a bit. Times were simpler back then. The internet was just starting to catch on, but wasn't on consoles yet. And the main way to purchase games was to go to your local GameStop and pick it up. And when you sat in the car on the way home, you look in the box, admiring every little detail in the box art. Then you open it and you see the manual. Man, I love those things. So much personality was put into them, and they really let you experience the game before you even get to play it. But now let's skip a couple years to about 2012. The digital market is making huge strides in the gaming world, and people are starting to prefer digital games over physical copies. Game developers are starting to catch on to this and are starting to put less focus in game boxes. Sure, you still pick up the game from your local GameStop right on the way home looking at the nice box art and stuff, but when you open it up, that fun, unique, colorful manual that we once had devolved into a black and white manual preparing you for seizures, and if you're lucky, you don't get anything at all inside. It just doesn't feel the same. But there's still one man out there who still understands the importance of game boxes. Mr. Masahiro Sakurai himself. Of course I can't make a video without praising this man, he's just too perfect. With a copy of Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS or the Wii U, you got a nice little manual showing off all the characters' moves. And the same goes for Kid Icarus Uprising, giving us a nice little manual showing off Pit's moves. And this neat little pack of AR cards, being one of the only developers to actually use the 3DS's AR abilities for something besides the original pack of cards you got with the 3DS. What you did with these cards was you put them next to each other and they fight to the death or something. I didn't actually understand what the point of this was, but hey, they do it. And if you found this really entertaining for some reason, hey, don't worry, they made like 400 of these cards, but hold on one second, if you live in the US, you're never getting these things. Yeah, Europe and Japan really got the most widespread of these things. If you run to see these in the US, you gotta track down Nintendo employees at your local Best Buy. And back to the actual thing we're talking about, we get these cute little pictures of Pit inside the box. Nice. Now, I'm sure there's other developers out there who put the same amount of care into their game boxes, but I'm a Nintendo fan, god dang it, the only thing I know is Nintendo and the Earthworm Jim the DVD case. Now, what Sakurai did was nice and with more care than any other developer has put into their boxes. It's still nothing like what we had a couple years ago, where every developer put an equal amount of care into their game boxes and made sure they were all as pleasing as possible. I mean, none of them did the AR card thing, but hey, we aren't all Sakurai here, we can't be perfect. Now, I'm not getting mad at any developers for not putting work into their game box. It makes sense during the time period they were in. Since back before the internet, usually most developers had a hard time promoting their games, so they had to make the game box look really appealing so hopefully people will buy it when they see it at the store. But now with sites like Twitter and YouTube, you can display your game to the entire world before they even know what the box art looks like. Meaning they don't even need to put care into the box art since the game's already hooked enough people before it even came out. Which is why we see these regurgitated ideas of box arts nowadays. Sports games? Just some athlete playing a sport. Fallout or Halo, the main character is just standing there for some reason. Then you got games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Gears of War. They all just scream, "Hey kids, you ever heard of a gun?" It's so lazy, so boring, and I'm not saying that because they're simplistic, because games like the Elder Scrolls series show us that you don't need a super detailed cover to look good. Now, we do still have fantastic box art from the time, but there is definitely a decrease in quality from some companies. Except maybe sports games, they were always just some guy playing a sport. Now, let's head back to the present, where game manuals are basically extinct. Sure, you can buy these giant manuals separately, but they're not the same. But some game developers have started to put more care into their boxes again, by making the insides of the boxes see-through and putting beautiful art on the inside to look at. Now, while I'd like some actual function to the inside, like how Mario Odyssey's inside are the lyrics to Jump Up Superstar, the art is still a nice touch. And some indie developers have also gotten into the whole actually caring thing by putting manuals and cute little collectibles in the game boxes. And while still not back to the glory days of game boxes, I feel like they're back on track into making game boxes something special for anyone who picks up a physical copy. Anyways, that's my opinion on game boxes. Now, let's get back to writing about my favorite things.
Oh, sweet. Lego Batman for the DS. Lego Batman for the DS.
Oh, my spleen! Your actual face is what killed me.
What? What?
You look genuinely concerned.
No, you just made me laugh because you were.
Oh, my spleen! Oh, god damn it, I did it again! I see your face and I just die! Oh, my spleen! Ah!